Hey guys, it's Keith again with Bulletproof RC, and this is a Losi Rock Rey Kit. Now, if you've been following my channel, you know that I've already had an RTR Rock Rey. In fact, I went through quite a few upgrades on that vehicle and had a lot of fun with it. I thought I was done with the Rock Rey adventures until Horizon dropped the price on the kit, and I always favor a kit over an RTR. It just makes the whole vehicle experience more personal, and you know the vehicle in and out. Definitely reduces any intimidation that you may have of working on a vehicle, and something goes wrong, you know exactly what it is. So anyway, bought the kit because Horizon had reduced the price significantly, and decided this time around to build this vehicle as a crawler. Now, I know a lot of folks out there saying, this is a rock racer. It's got an independent front suspension. You don't need to be crawling with it. Well, you know, the original Wraith was a rock racer. The Yeti was a rock racer. And then, of course, the Bomber is a Yeti and a Wraith mixed, which is also a rock racer. However, you go out to crawling environments, you'll see those vehicles in quite a number of times. So it's all of what you want to do. I know this is not anything that you'd be able to compete with because it's not legal, but for having fun on the trails and on the rocks, I think this thing will do quite well. Original RTR Bomber, the original electronics and radio and all that stuff, I didn't keep any of that stuff. I wound up upgrading everything. So to me, man, you know, the price of a RTR versus a kit, especially now, it's just a no-brainer. You're gonna want to change out the electronics on the RTR because of the cogging. There's a decent ESC in the RTR, and it doesn't cog with most motors. I've owned that Dynamite 130 amp ESC, and I've used it in many applications. It's basically a rebranded Hobbywing SC8 120 amp. And it's actually also programmable with a Hobbywing program card. And it, you know, before I actually did use that elsewhere, but in this vehicle, you want to go with a censored system. Because once I put a censored system in this vehicle, I was really impressed with how well it really crawled. I took it just for giggles one day on some trails with some friends who took SCX-10s and a couple other crawlers out there, and I mean, I was just blown away. So, you know, of course, the first thing you got to do is lock that center diff. So, you know, that's one of the things I did with the RTRs. I locked the center diff, and of course, the Vatera front diff locker for the twin hammers is what you need. In this particular vehicle, I locked the center and front. We're going to see how that goes. I did notice a little bit of front tire hopping, and I know that's common with a locked front diff, but with an independent front suspension, the tire hopping is much more noticeable, and since there's a lot more play in the front end of a independent suspension vehicle than a straight axle, it's just a little more noticeable. I don't know if I'll change that out to a or change it back to a diff with the 1 million weight Tamiya diff lock fluid, which is what I did with the RTR, by the way. May do that. A couple other things I did. I put, of course, a Servo Horn TLR. That's the one I used. There's a lot of different options out there, but used this before and had it on hand, and so it went in this build as well. Got the front Camber link from Losi, simply because I have seen a couple of guys on YouTube break the plastic one, so now that's more in a rock racing or bashing environment, but no sense in, you know, gotta get the quality in there, you know. Here is the Losi Mod 1 pinion is a 10 tooth. You know, the kit comes with a 12 tooth, and if I'm going to be crawling, I want this thing to have the most torque it can, so went with a 10 tooth pinion. From Hot Racing, I've got the steering servo mount. That just keeps the servo secure without any flexing. And of course, if I'm going to do that, might as well put the aluminum steering bell crank set in there as well, just to stiffen things up. From SSD, got the front aluminum bulkhead. Now, the reasoning for this is the stock Losi plastics in the front bulkhead, pretty flexible, and also they use 5x10 bearings, which are prone to failure in the front end of this vehicle. So by using the SSD front bulkhead, you get larger bearings and an aluminum gear housing, which, you know, no brainer. It's just going to keep your ring and pinion mesh rock solid no matter what. And I don't have the tag for it, but I also put the SSD third member in the rear, which does the same thing. Increases the bearing size, holds that ring and pinion at a rock solid mesh. You don't have to worry about that no more. Other than that, I did go into my box and got some, I don't know what these springs are from. I just got a box of parts through the 10 years of RCing that I've done. Went with some softer springs in the rear, and also used 20 weight in the rear end of this vehicle. Stock shock fluid that comes with this kit is 30 weight, and they continue to use it all the way around. To me, the 30 weight was a little too stiff in the rear, and the stock springs are a little too stiff. In a vehicle of this nature, it needs to be very, very soft in the rear for it to crawl well. So did that. Stock fluid and springs seem to be okay in the front. Other than that, used axial, I believe they were from my Yeti kit, some skull heads. I put them in there along with a couple of Yeti seatbelt stickers there. Did that for both drivers. So like that. Got some Punisher decals from eBay just to kind of finish it off. I did tape off the headlight portion so we can have some headlights up front. Of course, it comes with a light bar factory, and it comes with these light buckets. So got to have LEDs, right? In the rear, got some tail lights back there. These are from a axial light bucket set, and they're just the canister lights. They hold 3mm LEDs, which are red. And as far as electronics goes, I use the Hobby Wing SCT Pro censored ESC. There are newer versions out there from Hobby Wing or XY, but you know, that's a tried and true ESC. It's not waterproof, but I don't really run in water anyway. I don't like bearing failures and rust on all my hardware, so I avoid water like the plague. But I've got that censored ESC, that SCT Pro, in 4 vehicles now, so I love it. I think it's a awesome bang for your buck. And the motor, I'd pull my body off and show you my electronics, guys, but I don't feel like undoing all those screws. As far as the motor, I've got an XY 4068 2250 kV motor, so that's actually for an 8 scale vehicle. So plenty of torque there, especially with that 10-tooth pinion. So really the only area that I really skimped out on was a servo, and I went with a JX servo. I believe it was a 20 kilogram servo, which is right at 300 inch-ounces of torque, and I think a 0.15 transit speed if my memory's correct. And it's doing a pretty good job of turning these big tires. So speaking of tires, the wheels, these are Alien Tack 2.2s. They are from America. Those were I think these were black. Yeah, they were black. I de-anodized them quite a while back, and they were just bare aluminum. So I roughed them up and I painted them charcoal gray, or excuse me, I guess that's gunmetal, same color as the body. So just to kind of make things match up a little bit. And I guess the last thing I did, as far as outside of stock, is I put a Team Associated chassis protector on the bottom. It just comes in a big sheet. I'll share the part number in the description. I put it on the chassis before I assembled the vehicle, and then I punched out all the holes. That way I could disassemble this thing and work on it as I need without having to remove the chassis protector every time. So hopefully this will do a decent job of holding up. You know, I know the chassis is there for running, and I'm not terribly afraid of putting scratches on the chassis, but you know, just no sense in it getting banged up before it's time. And this is actually like a Teflon, so it's actually going to be a little better about sliding over the rocks than the aluminum would be. So of course, you know, the kit comes with a few items that the RTR doesn't. Turnbuckles, adjustable, and I believe the other thing it comes, yeah, the rear upper truss comes with that. Oh, and upper links as well, aluminum links. Get in here where you can see. Comes with those. So anyway, not saying I'm done with the upgrades, but for right now, I'm pretty happy with it. I'm gonna pause the video and show you a little bit of backyard testing. Okay, so in conclusion, pretty happy with my first test. Now I still need to take this thing out on the rocks and really try it out. Hopefully do that a little later today at McIntosh State Park, so stay tuned. As always guys, like and subscribe to Shoe Fits. Have yourself a great day.